They all knew that there was a problem. His teachers knew it, his parents knew it, his grandparents knew it, even the town knew it. No one knew what to do with little Johnny. One day, his parents got a call from his grandma, and Grandma said, I think it's time that we teach little Johnny a lesson. I'd like you to come over to our house about this time and want us to sit down and talk about what we're going to do. They knew that there was a sly chuckle in her voice and probably a wink in her eye as she said this, and they didn't think anything of it because they knew when Grandma said something, you went, you listened, and you did what she said. And there was no question about that. So on the given time, the parents went over and they sat down with Grandma over some desserts and some juice, and they talked about what they were going to do with Johnny. Parents told him about what was going on at school, what was going on at home, what was even going on in the town as well. Grandma shook her head, and Grandpa looked at him and said, I'm just going to go take a nap. This is just too much. Grandma giggled and then got serious again and said, I have an idea of what I want us to do. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to make a very special meal for all of you. She told them what was on the menu, told them what time to be there, and every one of them agreed that that was what needed to be done. So they got their stuff and gave hugs to everybody and went back home. Night came, and as they were putting everyone to sleep, the only thing that was being heard from little Johnny was, I want this, I want that, I want. If I don't get my way, parents had enough. Said, okay, we'll give you what you want. It's time to go to bed. Took him up, tucked him in. Took him 3 hours to fall asleep. So he knew if he opened that door, he would be in trouble. His parents sighed and they went to bed. They had no idea what they were going to do. A week went by and they kept hearing complaints from their teachers, complaints from town members, and something new happened that week. They actually got a call from the mayor. The mayor started complaining about what little Johnny was doing. Oh, they were so sad, but at the same time, they were looking forward to Tuesday when they were going over to Grandma's for supper. So was Johnny. Johnny was excited because, he knew Grandma was such a good cook. He could already taste that special roast, those mashed potatoes and gravy, the green beans, the lima beans, the salad, the special dessert that she always made, the rolls with the special honey butter that Grandpa made. He was so hungry, and he knew Grandpa made his famous lemonade. He was looking forward to that. So as they got in the car, they were all excited about the meal, and they were talking about it back and forth. And Johnny's like, when I get there, I'm gonna get the biggest of everything. Mom and Dad start talking and chuckling and go, just wait till you get there. You'll get the biggest. Just wait. Johnny's like, why do you say that? You'll find out. Johnny knew that when his parents started laughing and giggling amongst themselves, that there was something that was going to happen, and a very major lesson that he was about to learn. But at the same time, he took it and he put it behind him, not even thinking about what was really going on. They got to Grandma's, and hugs went all around from Grandpa and Grandma, and Grandma said, there's still a little bit before supper's ready. Why don't you guys go out and play in the yards? So they went, they played, and all of a sudden you could start hearing Johnny telling his sister, "Hey, you get away from that. I want that. I want the biggest thing. I want this. I want that. I want this. I want that." Oh, Grandma's like, "Yeah, I think it's time for supper." So they called him in, and everybody sat down at the table, and they had prayer, and they got started. Grandma said, "You know, Johnny, let me fill your plate." Johnny's like, "Oh, okay. But I want the biggest piece of roast." And Grandma's like, "Oh, you'll get the biggest piece. Don't worry." So she puts the biggest piece of roast on his plate. And everyone else is served, and they start digging into that. And Johnny takes a bite, and oh, it is so awful. Looks around, everyone's enjoying it except him. There was no seasoning in his roast. Oh, he was so disappointed. How is it that this time Grandma didn't even know how to cook? Grandma said, "Okay, time for the next course." And she knew that Johnny wasn't going to eat, so took it and put it in the compost pile. And brought out a bunch of baked potatoes. Johnny kind of looked at her strange, knowing that normally they have mashed potatoes and gravy, but, well, you know, Grandma's baked potatoes are just as good. And they pass out the potatoes, and Johnny goes, "Oh, I want that big one." And Grandma's like, "Oh, that one's specially marked for you." She puts it on his plate, and he sees people cutting into their potatoes and the steam rolling out, and they put all the ingredients on top, and oh, they're enjoying them so much. Johnny starts getting even hungrier as he looks at his potato, and he grabs his fork and his knife, knowing how he's going to put the butter in it first and some salt and other ingredients, and he goes to cut it, and oh, he is so disappointed because the potato was as hard as a rock. "Oh, I thought Grandma actually cooked this." Tears started rolling down his cheeks because he had no idea what was going on. And he was so hungry. The other courses came, and same thing. Johnny kept saying the same thing, still not realizing there was a lesson in there. And they were waiting, watching, wondering if he was actually going to learn, but he wasn't learning yet. And finally, dessert came with Grandma's special little pies and Grandpa's special lemonades. Grandpa had already poured Johnny a special little glass, and they came out with the dish of the little pies, and Johnny said, I know which pie I'm going to get." Grandma giggled, and she said, "I know we have it specially marked for you." So they passed out the pies, they passed out the lemonade. Johnny's so excited about the lemonade, he goes and he takes a big gulp of it, and oh, the lemonade's so sour. Grandpa never has done this before. What is going on? Oh, he was so disappointed, but then he's like, "Well, you know, at least I have Grandma's special pie." And he was so looking forward to that because he knew how much time she spent with these little pies and the ingredients that went in. And he carefully cut it, and he took a little bit and he went to bite it, and oh, it was even more sour than the lemonades. More tears started rolling down Johnny's eyes, and he pushed the plate away and pushed his chair away, and he ran outside and sat underneath a tree. "How could they do this to me? How could my parents and my sister and my grandparents be so mean to me? And then all of a sudden he realized, that's how I've been treating other people. Maybe they're trying to teach me a lesson. So he took his shirt sleeve and he dried his eyes, and by that time, Grandma was walking to him from the house. She came to him and gave him a big hug, and she looked down at him and said, "Johnny, have you learned anything?" And he said, "Oh, Grandma, I am so sorry for how I've been acting. I know that I need to be better. I need to be a better brother. I need to be a better son. I need to be a better grandson. I need to be better in every part of life." She smiled and she looked at him. She said, "I'm glad that you're learning your lesson. But don't let this just be learned for this one time. You need to keep remembering this for the rest of your life. Grow and let God continue to grow and work in and through you." And oh, by the way, I do want you to know that your parents and I met, and I'm the one that suggested this. And he looked and he's like, "Grandma," and she said, "Because you needed to learn a lesson." And tears rolled down his cheeks again, and he said, "Thank you. I'm glad that you have taught me what I need to learn." Johnny took that lesson and continued through the rest of his life. And to this day, he continues to remind others about how it's not good to be selfish. That's something each one of us need to remember today, is that as we're going through life, let's live to serve, not live to take or live to do whatever we want, but live to give and live to show others Jesus and continue to lift them up to Him moment by moment by moment.